All right, good morning, everyone. Now God willing, we're concluding this speech that the Rebbe gave in 1991. And it has we've learned some pretty amazing things. We've gone over it a few times. What the Rebbe is trying to teach us over here. So, I mean, this is in a way, perhaps the most exemplified, how do you say, teaching of Moshiach that you can have. What's the Rebbe saying over here? The Rebbe is told, first of all, it's a big question. What is a Jew, right? What is a Jew? What's a Jew? So well, Jews are, there are a lot of people in Israel I talk to. Jews are the ones that, Hitler tried to kill. I said, okay, but how did he know he was a Jew? There must have been Jews before that. Yeah, I guess so. No, that was the one that Herzl, he brought them to good. How did Herzl know who was a Jew? He wanted to have a country. How did he know who was a Jew? Yeah, well, okay, so then it gets a little bit wispy over there. So then you can say, well, a Jew is someone, the Torah definition, right? Torah definition is a Jew is someone whose mother was Jewish. Some people say, no, a Jew is anyone who Hitler said was a Jew, right? He said if you're like your grandfather was 4 generations back, you're like a quarter Jew or something like that. He's not a posek. He doesn't decide what the law is. What is the law? So some people say, well, it's what it says in the Torah. It says in the Torah that anyone whose mother was Jewish or converted according to Jewish law is a Jew. Okay, but good. So he becomes a Jew. But what is this thing that he becomes? What does he do? He just joins this club, of being a Jew. What do you have to do that for? Right? What's so special? What does it mean to be a Jew? What is a Jew? So there's like reform and conservatives say, well, you're right. It's just a big club, and anybody wants to join, you just sort of join. It's easier to become a Jew than it is to, like to get into some country clubs or whatever. Is that really it? So the Rebbe is trying to say, no. What a Jew is a son of God. Every Jew. What is God? Well, the most, how do you say, external aspect of God is that he creates the world. He creates everything constantly. He creates all being. There's nothing outside of him. He's creating everything from miracles, just a miracle from nothing. That's God, creating the whole business. And not just the physical worlds, he's creating all the spiritual worlds. And you look in the Kabbalah books, it'll explain to you what these spiritual worlds are. God is the creator, and we're his sons. We're together with God creating the world. And if you might think that God is some sort of a big, entity or something, the biggest entity of all, the prime mover, and we're just like little entities where there is, so it explains, no, entities, that's spiritual. Those are creations. We're talking about the creator. He is not an entity. He's not limited. He's not limited in time. Time is a creation. The existence is a creation. God does not exist in any way we can understand. And the Jews are right there with him. The Jews are in his essence, and he's creating everything right now. Everything is being created right now. Time itself is a creation. Everything is being created right now. This is totally incomprehensible. That's where the Jews come from. That's a Jew. And somehow or other, the reason why he's doing this whole business is because of the Torah. He's doing it with the Torah and in the Torah, and the laws of conduct are in the Torah, and what are true values, that's what's written in the Torah. And this comes from the essence of God. And to make things a little, just to sort of put a stamp on it so that everyone will believe it and know that it's true, this God took the Jews out of Egypt, and he did miracles for them in the desert. And he took them to Mount Sinai, and they all saw and they all heard, about 3 million of them, and they worshiped, and they all saw God existed, and they saw that God gave the Torah, and they saw true 100%. And that's not the end. What really makes it true? What really makes it true is that all this had absolutely no effect on them. Afterwards, they did whatever they wanted to, and they worshiped golden calves and everything like that. That's Judaism. Judaism is you have free will to act like the Son of God and do what it says in the Torah, the way that God wants you to do, say that it says in the Torah. to do everything in the Torah and to do what God wants, to fix up the world. That's why God put us here. That's a Jew. A Jew is the son of God, the servant of God, connected to God, one with God, the wife of God, all the things that King Solomon said. This is the mystery of all mysteries. Connected intrinsically with the whole creation of the world, the purpose of the world, the existence of the world, the benefit of the world, the blessing of the world. It's all in the hands of the Jews. That's the Jews. Like most somebody said to the Rebbe, isn't this very chauvinistic? And the Rebbe says, you're right, it is, but I didn't create the world. That's the way God created it. That's the fact. Okay, so what does the Rebbe want from all this? To activate us, to let us know that because we have all of this truth and all of this power, is that we can worship golden calves if we want to, just like the Jews did back then. So first of all, we have to control ourselves and realize that what we want to do, worship golden calves and things like that, what we really want to do is not really right. Not always. Sometimes it is. Number one, that's turning from bad. Number two, we have to do good. The main purpose of turning good is to conquer, transform the whole entire world to a good place. That's the idea of going out to war. So the Rebbe says, listen, because we're the sons of God and because God creates the whole world, so the thing is sort of like, fixed from the beginning. Huh? The whole game is been, what do they call it? Bribed. God controls the whole business. But God controls the whole business and he wants there to be free will and he wants us to use our free will to serve him against all odds. And there's a lot of odds. But says the Rebbe wants to say, so therefore we are definitely servants of God. Why are we servants of God? Because we're serving God on our own free will. We're servants, it's our own free will. We chose to fix the world up because we're sons of God also. We come from the essence of God. So we're the same, at the same time, we're both. But a Jew has to just realize that that's what a Jew is. And that's why Jews will never, very rarely, will leave their identity as Jews. But we talked about this a lot of times before. They'll change their religion, they'll change their name, they'll change their this, they'll change everything they can change, right? They can say we're not Jews, we're Israelis, we're this, we're that, and it doesn't work. It just always keeps popping up that I'm a communist Jew, I'm an atheist Jew, I'm a this type of Jew, that's right. Jews in Hitler's army, right? Nazi Jews and this and that, they're Jews. They won't. Why? Because it comes from this essence thing which is above understanding. Okay. So says the Rebbe, this whole business is that we have to, therefore, the whole purpose we have to do is use our free will in order to perfect this world. That's the whole name of the game. Perfecting the world. We're not talking about going to heaven at all. Not mentioned once in this whole. Yesh l'kasher ha'omor, we have to connect what we said before, la'il, l'tochen azman, to the time that we're reading this. Right? We're reading Kiteitzei the Milchama means we're going out from our essence to fight this battle to fix up the world. But in the afternoon we read Parshas Kitavo. Victory is assured, but we have to work. We can connect this whole idea, what I just finished saying, with the time that we're reading. A Moadim Shel Hashana, the time of the year that we're reading this now. Shekulam Yeshaychos, because all the Torah portions, what we read in the Torah, has a connection to the world. Now we're reading, this is the month of Elul. The month of Elul, Chodesh Elul, is the last month of the whole year. Shabo, that in it, let me see. Yes, I'm recording good. Shabo, that in it, Korim, we read these two Torah portions. Kiyadua, like it's known, the Moadim called Shal Shana, Bakulam, Yeshaychot La'oto, a Parsha, She Achalos Bahem. That the Torah, what we read, is relevant to the time that we read it. Now we're reading in the month of Elul, and we're reading Parshas Kiteitzei, going out to war, Kitavo, and settling down in the land, the promised land. Chodesh Elul, the month of Elul, is the last month of the year, and in it we make a reckoning, an inventory of all the service of the year, almanas, in order to fix up and to complete all the service that we did in the year in learning Torah and doing in praying and giving charity, doing the commandments. That's what's called tshuva, returning back to our goal. How you have a mission statement. Our mission statement is Dir v'tachtonim, to make this world a perfect place, to make a dwelling for God in this lower world. That's our mission statement. We go back to that source, return to that mission statement, and we evaluate everything we've done as much as we can. Everything we've done, said, thought, heard. Is it pointing to, did it contribute to, in any way, making the world a better place? Almost like it's in the internet, what it says in our parsha, it says in our parsha, Ubachta et avia vet ima yerach yamim. It says that the woman that's taken prisoner, right in the beginning of the Torah portion, she's taken prisoner as she weeps for her father and mother 1 month. Who is the woman? In this case, we're turning the meaning around a little bit. In this case, the woman is the Jewish people. And that we're imprisoned in exile. And we weep for our mother and father, that's God. For 1 month, that's the month of Elul. And by means of this, you come to the completion, the goal, which is the geula, the future redemption, like it says, and afterwards her husband comes to her, ubalta, and he has relations with her. This is talking about a woman that was taken prisoner by a Jewish soldier. So it says she has to sit for 1 month. She cries for her mother and father, and afterwards the soldier that took her, he can marry her. He can have relations with her and marry her. Like it says, Bayomahu, Tikra li Ishi, God will be called my husband. Like the rabbis say, Lemos Mashiach, in the days of the Mashiach, that will be the marriage. Now we're just like the engagement. This whole 2,000 years we've had since the temple was destroyed, this is like the engagement party. And then when the whole idea of Mashiach is we will be truly united with God, like it says, Bo'alayach osayach. Your husband is the one who creates you, who makes you who you are. V'gam chodesh ha'achana, this is the month of preparation, l'atchalat avoda, to begin next year's service. So we're fixing up the past year, and we're preparing for the new year. Preparing for the new year. According to this, yesh lo more we can say. The month of Elul that we're in now, Mudgash is stressed. We're joining, basing it in 2 things of avoda, serving God. We're servants. The schar and the reward. We're sons. God reveals who we are. Shatchala, in the beginning of the service of the Shana, comes la'achrei, after the work of the previous year. So that's the reward of the previous year. We did some good things, we get paid for that. The Inyan Zen, this Murumas is hinted at also in the language, in the letters Elul. The letters Elul is what? That we finished the previous year, right? We finished the previous year, so now we're preparing to receive the reward for whatever good things we did in the previous year. That's this month, Elul. Elul are the first letters, Ani, Ledodi, Fedodi, Li. King Solomon said it. I am to my beloved, and my beloved, that's God, is to me. Shetechila, the beginning of the service of God is Bo'ofen Esarusa Dilatata. I go to my beloved. We are going up to God, so to speak. We serve God, we learn God's Torah, we do God's commandments. We're doing it all. And afterwards, God reacts. Dodi Li, he comes back to us, so to speak. Mudgeshes, that stresses the tachlis of shlemos, the completion of all of the service. That's the reward, so to speak. And then afterwards there comes, that's the unification of I go to my beloved. That's the Jewish people and God. I is the Jewish people and my beloved is God. But often shall nesuim, that's the reward. That's like we said, like a wedding, that God connects to us in an intimate way. Like it says with Adam and his wife, that a man has to get married and they become one flesh. Yisrael v'Kodesh Baruch Hu, that the Jewish people and God become one. Kamudgash, like it says, B'siyum, that's the reward for what we did last year. Tafshin Pei Gimel, right? All the work we did in that year. So the reward we get is the marriage. We worked hard. So we get a deeper and more genuine connection with God. Like the difference between an engaged couple and a married couple. This is the finishing of the 40 days. The 40 days are the 30 days of Elul, and the first 10 days of Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah, ending with Yom Kippur. This is the 40 days which are hinted at by the four Yuds. What are the four Yuds here? Look, where is it? What was it? Ani, Ladodi, Vedodi Li. See, the last letters over here are Yuds. Ani, Yud, Yud, that's Yud is 10. So that's 40. That's the 40 days from the beginning of Rosh Chodesh Elul until Yom Kippur. That's Yom Kippur. That's the Yom Kippur is also called the day of God's marriage. The Yom Kippur, what happened on Yom Kippur? That was the day that the high priest went into the Holy of Holies. A unification, an inner unification of the bride, Jewish people, the Kohen, and the groom, God. That's what was happening in the Holy of Holies. And by the way, what was in the Holy of Holies? The Torah, the Ten Commandments. That Yom Kippur also was the day when God gave the last tablets. Remember the story? We talked about this before. The Jews got out of Egypt, and Moses went up on Mount Sinai. He came down and broke the tablets because the Jewish people worshiped the golden calf. So he went up 2 more times. He went up another 40 days, and he came down, and then he went up the last 40 days, and God gave him the second tablets. So if you add up to when Moses came down the first time, which was on Yud Zayin Tammuz, and he broke the tablets, so you count 40 days from that date, so it comes out to be Yom Kippur. So on Yom Kippur, is that right? 1 second, give me a second. No. Tisha B'Av. From Tisha B'Av, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? I'm sorry. I'm boy. One minute. We're talking about 120 days from Yud Zayin Tammuz until Yom Kippur. 120 days. That's 100. That's 120 days that Moses went up from the time he went up the first time until the last time. Right. That's 100.
That's not 120 days. Less. No.
Let's make the counting then. Let's do this again. Yud Zayin Tammuz, he broke the tablets, right? Yud Zayin Tammuz. Then there is of Elul. I'm sorry, I'm making this conflict. Somehow this is all jumped out of my mind. This is the month of the month of Elul, Tammuz of Elul, that's 60, another 40. Another 10 is 70, and so it's 80 days. Sorry, it's 80 days from Yud Zayin Tammuz until Yom Kippur is 80 days. That's the days. That's the last 40 days that Moses went up on Mount Sinai. Right from the time he broke the tablets until he received the second tablets. Okay, so when did we receive the second tablets? That was on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, that's also the day that the high priest goes into the Holy of Holies. And that's all hinting at the days of the Mashiach. Because what's Mashiach going to do is, the main thing of the Mashiach is these two things, unifying the whole world with God and Torah. Receiving the Torah, that's what happened on Yom Kippur, and unifying the world with God, that's what happened on Yom Kippur, when the high priest went into the Holy of Holies. Okay. Sorry for the confusion. And to make clear, getting married, that's the day we get married to God. That ends these 40 days from Elul to Yom Kippur, is the day of we get married to God. That's also the idea of the Mashiach. That's the reward. That's called Nisuin, getting married. Nisuin. The word nisuin, the essence of the word, the source of the word is from the word nasai, which means to elevate, to raise up. Nesiyat rosh, shlemut b'Mashiach. The completion of this will be in the days of the Mashiach. Because again, what's Mashiach going to do? He's going to be a person like King David, a person like Moses, that's going to convince the whole world that they're much more than what they think they are. That's the whole idea of Mashiach. That God, the creator of the universe, wants to be revealed here in the world. And that's, first of all, Mashiach will unite the Jewish people with their true identity. And from then, the whole rest of the world will join. Shene'amar, like it says, Yoram v'nisa v'gavam mod. It says Mashiach is going to be a person that's going to be elevated high, very, very, how do you say, very, very exalted. Mashiach. Al Yado, by means of the Mashiach, Nasit Shlemos, there will be completion of Nesiut Rosh, the elevation of the head of every single Jew. In other words, every single Jew's head, mind, comprehension will be in the right place. We'll see the truth. We'll see the Creator, or Befran, and especially they Nitzutz Mashiach. There's a spark of the Mashiach which is in every single Jew. Bechinas, this is the level of Yechida. It's called the fifth level of the soul. Yechida liyachtach. Unified, one with God's oneness. That we are unified with the Creator, the unique one of the world, with God. So in other words, what it basically means is that we'll see the truth. Everyone will see how amazingly fortunate we are that we're being created, and we'll be filled with gratitude, and also we'll be filled with responsibility. We got to do what God says. It's a tremendous happiness. Especially now we're especially being stressed in the month of Elul, that we said that the month of Elul is a reckoning for the previous year, and it's a reward for the previous year, and it's a preparation for the coming year. And it's connecting us with our beloved, with God, and it's preparation for Mashiach, the big wedding that's going to be. This especially, says the Rebbe, in the year Tafshin Nun Aleph. Okay, now Tafshin Nun Aleph, this is like 32 years ago. But nevertheless, the letters are tinaseh, to be elevated. Now, a lot of people say, and they're certainly justified to say, but I think they're told that it's not correct to say this, that the Rebbe said about all these dates, but the dates passed, and that's it. Or you can say the other way around, that if the Rebbe said this and it's true, a good thing never goes away. It's always there. So if the Rebbe said that this is the year the Mashiach is supposed to come, so he was certainly right. So if it didn't happen back then, for sure it has to happen now, because a good thing we can't say, oh, okay, time is over and that's it, right? You just missed it. Right? The wedding date was set, the band was there, the food was there, everyone there. Where were you? Why didn't you come? The groom said, oh man, I tell you, listen, I thought that the wedding was in, like next year. I didn't see the date on the thing clearly. Okay, but that's it. She just found somebody else, and we can't wait forever. Well, found somebody else, really? Yeah. She found somebody. Yeah, that very night. Everybody was waiting there for the wedding, and you didn't come. So we went out on the street. It just happened to be a nice guy came along, a religious fellow, and he wasn't married, and he said, okay, and that's it. They got me. Wow, I missed it. It doesn't work that way with Mashiach. The Rebbe said he was supposed to come in this year. It can't be that because the year passed and he didn't come, and there was not the Geula, then that's it. God just found somebody else. It doesn't work that way. Mashiach certainly has to come, and God's not going to find anybody else, right? And that's what all the prophets said. Isaiah and Israel, that God is never going to exchange the Jews for anybody else. Never going to be. No matter what everybody says, it's not going to be. So if it didn't happen then, for sure it has to happen now. Okay, so the year Tafshin Nun Aleph, the good thing that the Rebbe revealed was that the year of elevation. Naseh means to elevate. Lashon Tzivoy, and it's also commanding. You must elevate yourself. Tinaseh, elevate, lift up. Hein benogea, this is relevant to revelation and the coming of the Mashiach. Naseh Like it says, the Mashiach will be Nasa Ma'od, he'll be very, very high. And also, and the Nisuin of the marriage of the Jewish people and God in the days of the Mashiach, like the language of Malchut Shemoni. Shana Shemelech HaMashiach Niglabo says the year that the Melech Mashiach comes. It's very interesting what he says over there, that all of the nations of the world are threatening war one with the other. And this has been pretty much that way since, anyway, we can see it, and I don't know if it's ever been that way, maybe in World War One or something. All the nations of the world, they're threatening war with one another, not just as these big groups. There's the Axis against the Allies, and this is everybody is against everybody. It's really just quite amazing, right? Amazing. America's against Mexico, and against Peru, and they're against Cambodia's against this one, and North Korea's against South Korea, and North Carolina's against South Carolina. Everybody's against everybody else. Right? It says the year the Mashiach is going to come, is everyone's going to be yelling at each other. They left it out. Anyway, the Rebbe, it says the Mashiach is going to stand on the roof of the Beit HaMikdash of the temple. And the Rebbe said in another place that 770 is the holy temple outside of Israel, Beit Rabbeinu Shababavel. It's a Gemara, and what is it in Megillah? Megillah. For Omar, and he says, Anavim, humble ones, he gives man gulatchem, the time of redemption has arrived. The cave and Sinshin Nimsa, we're following now, says the Rebbe, in the last month of the year, Tafshin Nun Aleph. And it's impossible to push it off. God forbid, the promise of God that he's going to redeem the Jewish people. And he says the year the Mashiach will come, the Mashiach is going to stand on the roof of the Holy Temple. The Rebbe said 770 is the Holy Temple outside of Israel. Beit Rabbeinu Shababavel, and he's announcing the time has come. It's Tzarichem Litkayim, take it from Yad. It has to happen immediately, says the Rebbe, even on this Shabbat. Ubapashtut, and simply Shabachodesh Elul, the month of the Elul of the year Tafshin Nun Aleph, is the end and the completion of all of our deeds and the whole entire time of exile. Ubamelus, automatically, Makablim, take it from Yad. We should be receiving the reward of all of our thousands of years of work for God, the Amos Mashiach, the coming of the Mashiach, and even the raising of the dead. Ad l'schar elef hashvi, until there's another reward, which is called the seventh millennium. It's a millennium, 1,000 years. Matan schar shel tzaddikim lati lavos is the reward for the tzaddikim in the future, in the world to come. Of a bahova, but now, okay, that's what's going to be, the raising of the dead. But right now, biyom zeh, ubafran, and especially the korov l'simo, in the end, near the end of this day, says the Rebbe, we're in Mincha of Shabbat, that's when the Rebbe spoke. But rega zeh, in this time, right now, in this moment, it should happen. Ubachodesh Elul atzmo, in the month of Elul itself, which day? The day of Yud Daled Elul. What happened in Yud Daled? Like I said, that year, the calendar date was 1 week more than this. So by us, what's like Zion Ches Elul is by them, it's like 1 week more. Okay, so Yud Daled Elul is the day before Tet Vav Elul. What is Tet Vav Elul? Just give me 1 second. One. Right. This year Shabbat is Tet Elul, and then in that year Shabbat was Yud Daled Elul. Okay, so that's 1 day before Tet Vav Elul. Then on Tet Vav Elul, which that's going to be next week on Friday, is Kaimas Yura B'Shleimusa, that the moon is full. Sharom is that this hints at Shleimut, the completion of the Jewish people, that they're similar to the moon, and we count according to the moon, and the Jewish people are going to be renewed like the moon. Ubafran, and especially that the novelty of the completion of the moon is by means of this, that it receives light from the sun. That's the idea of unification of the sun, Shimsha V'Siora, the sun and the moon. The sun, in this case, of course, is God, and the moon is the Jewish people. Al derech v'dugmat inyan nisuim, something like the marriage we just talked about between God and the Jewish people. Shid, and I said bid. Oh no, this is I don't know what this base is over here. Okay. Okay, from Yud Daled Elul and onwards, Yidrosh Halachot Achag. It says from Yud Daled Elul, which is not this Friday, next Friday. It says 30 days before every holiday, you're supposed to learn the laws of the holiday. What's the holiday that's going to be 30 days from Yud Daled Elul? Sukkot. Sukkot has a lot of laws to it. Shloshim Yom, 30 days before the holiday, the kavens that since the month of Elul is missing, it's always missing. The month of Elul is never 30 days, as therefore the 30 days begins on Yud Dalet Elul, as it begins so therefore we should be preparing, namely what? With happiness. The holiday of Sukkot is the Zman of Simchaten, the time of happiness. Shleimot, a simcha, complete joy. Hakashura with Gilel or Yom Kippur, which is connected with the revelation of Yom Kippur, the day of God's wedding. Shabon Naaseh Ayichud HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Knesset Israel, that then is the unification of the Jewish people and God. It says that Sukkot is the revelation of the work of Yom Kippur. The work of Yom Kippur and of Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, when we sound the shofar, as it comes out to 100 sounds. 100 sounds. For instance, da is a tekiah. Da, da, da. Shvorim, that's 4. Teruah is 9. Da, 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 da. I'm sorry. No, not that. I'm sorry. Tekiah is 1. Shvorim is 1. Teruah is another one. Tekiah is another one. So we go Tekiah, Shvorim, Teruah, Tekiah. That's 4. We do that 3 times. So it's 4 times 3 is 12. Similarly, all the sounds that we sound on Yom Kippur, it comes out all together because we sound the shofar 100 times on Yom Kippur, on Shachrit, and on Mincha, on Shachrit after reading the Torah, and on Musaf, and then after the prayers in the morning, we sound all together. It comes out to be 100 blasts. We sound. Those 100 blasts are the gematria of the word schach. Schach. Samach, 60. Chaf is 20. Another 20. That's 100. So it says the revelation of the 100 blasts of the shofar are revealed in the schach of the sukkah. So also it says in another place that the revelation of the smoke from the incense that the Kohen Gadol burned in the Holy of Holies, that smoke went up, and its revelation is also in the schach. So all the work that we've done from the whole year is revealed in Sukkot. That's why it's a happy time. That then there's a unification of God with the Jewish people. In other words, the whole year we're going up, and it culminates on Yom Kippur. And when it starts coming down, that's already in Sukkot. It's written also in there's a book which is called okay, forget it. It's written by the Rebbe Rashab. What's a very common? I'll remember it in a moment. Anyway, from the 20th chapter on, it describes what happens when we sound the shofar. What happens from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur? How God goes up and the world goes up, and how God comes down, etc. Ubepratius Yoter, in more detail, Simchatenu Lashon Rabim. It's the time of our happiness. Mitchabrim, that we join the 2 happinesses together: the happiness of God we make God happy. Yismach Hashem ba'osav, it says God. Yismach Yisrael. Yismach Hashem b'ma'asav, that the joy from above to below. Yismach Hashem b'ma'asav, like I said, God rejoices in what we do. Ma'asav, in us, that were His deeds. Im simcha shalamata malamayla yismach Yisrael ba'osav, that we rejoice in our Creator. That's the whole idea of Sukkot. So what's the Rebbe trying to point out? That there's this interrelationship between us and God, and between God and us. And God inspires us, and then we become inspired, and we serve God, and then God reacts to what we do. And then He reacts even more, that inspires us even more. This is the idea of the joining of all of our service with the reward together. We serve God, God reacts, God's reaction, that encourages us to serve Him more, and etc. Maisav zeu kololos inyan hayom lasos. So this is the whole idea of today, to do them. Kishiyushlam bechinas hayom lasotam. When we finish the work of doing it today, then it's drawn down. Yismach Hashem, then God rejoices in His what He does. A simcha. This is the revelation of the inside of Atik, like we said before. This is a very deep revelation of the essence of God. I thought we would finish. Let's go. Okay, let's go a little further. Here. All right. Let's just skip to Tetvav. Mia Harot, from what we said before. And what are we saying before? The Rebbe is explaining to us that we have to sort of change the way we look at the world. The Rebbe is trying to say that any instant now, right? How do people look at the world? A lot of people look. Professor Viktor Frankl points this out, that people have this very sort of nihilistic way of looking at the world. It's very prevalent now. That it doesn't make any difference. Life is meaningless. Tomorrow, who knows if we're even going to be alive? There's no point in doing anything, and we're helpless. We're helpless. We can't do anything. We're helpless anyway. So let's just do whatever you want to, and just remove some of this tension and remove some of this. And that's the world is becoming more and more empty. And of course, it's creeping into our way of looking at the world also. And the Rebbe is trying to point out that it's not so. It's not so. Some people answer the meaninglessness of the world by saying, listen, you're doing what's down here. It's true, it's meaningless, it's terrible, but you're going to go to heaven. You're going to go to heaven, and it's worthwhile. Which, that's okay. That certainly, is a very good point if you do. But everybody has their own ideas about what going to heaven is, and who knows if you're even going to go. Who knows if it could be that your bad deeds will outweigh your good deeds, and who knows. And it could be you're on the wrong track altogether. Right? It says all the religions in the world are on the wrong track. They're not really worshiping God. Moshiach is going to come and show them that the religions are lies. So that whole idea of going to heaven, and not only that, it doesn't make you happy now. You just, it just gives you a little bit of hope that maybe there is some meaning. I'm going to go somewhere after I die. Well, the Rebbe is trying to say that right now, the whole world depends on us to be a happy place. That God is creating the world, that God cares about the world, that God wants to be revealed here in the world. The world is essentially good. We're essentially good. God is certainly essentially good and infinitely close. But that's what we should be thinking about. How to make this visible, visceral, felt. That's the idea of the Mashiach. And that's where our minds should be. That everything that we do is tremendously, tremendously important. And everything good deed is infinite. And every mistake that we make and sin that we make, we can get rid of it in a minute. Not so bad. All you have to do is just turn around. Say, God, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. and we really intend not to, and that's it. It's finished. So the whole world is going to do something good. And if you do something bad, okay, leave it alone. Repent for 5 seconds. And then that's it. Then keep doing good. Because what's waiting for us is the revelation of the truth in the world, who we really are. One of the teachers that's what we said before, the unification of God with the world. And one of the teachings that we have from this regarding actual deed, and deed is the main thing, we have to advertise everywhere. She'omdim, that we are standing. B'siyum v'chosam ma'aseinu v'avodaseinu, at the very end of all of our service, that we've served God. Ki teitzei l'milchama, that we've fought the battles already. We fought the battles. We've been in the pogroms, in the Holocaust, in the expulsions, in the difficulties, and the terrible things that are happening in the world. And okay, we've done it. We've held on to our Judaism, and that's it. Now we get the reward is supposed to be any second. Everybody's just going to feel good. We have to advertise everybody that we are standing at the end of all of our work. We're in the beginning of the reward. And what's the reward? This is the reward for the tzaddikim. That's kitavo ala oretz. And what is the reward? That we revealed who we really are. Ubehetam lakach sorichim liot. There has to be service also now regarding the days of the Mashiach. We have to, first of all, learn Torah about Mashiach. We have to learn Torah from the Torah about the future redemption, about the Holy Temple. And even more, we have to learn these things in a way of, how do you say, happiness, ease, the certainty, simcha, joy, tuv levav, with a good heart, kolal, including also by means of making forbringance, shel simcha, of joy, ubemiyuchad, and especially sheichos l'simchas nisuin, the joy of a wedding. Shivishim mishta, like it says, the 7 days of rejoicing. So we're talking about the marriage between God and the Jewish people. That's an amazing marriage. Kolal, also the custom of the Jewish people to make meals for poor people. Me'ayin dugma sachana. This is going to be something like in the future. It says that our mouths will be filled with joy. That now in our generation, Shenasi Ador, that the leader of our generation, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, that his second name is Yosef Yitzchak. Yitzchak means happiness, schok, and happiness. He is the 8th leader of the Hasidic movement. That's us, if you come from the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid. Us, that's the Gematria 8. Az Yashir. Az is 8th, that's the previous, from the Baal Shem Tov, is he's made the thing of schok pino. As Uz Yamalei Schok Pina. Uz, then we be filled. Uz is the 8th, that's the previous Rebbe. And it'll be right now. Number 1. Number 2, Lafarsem, we have to advertise. Bakol Makom, every single place. Al der Davar HaShlichos HaMiyucheres, the special shlichos of Tom Chetamimim. The Rebbe spoke about this, but we skipped it. Shenim Shaches, Opolas, Bakol Kitzvei Table. The 5th Rebbe of Chabad, he established what was called Chabad Yeshivas. And the Chabad Yeshivas, the boys would learn in the morning and in the evening, they would learn Chassidut. They would learn Chassidut an hour in the morning, whatever, an hour in the evening. Why did they learn Chassidut? Because he said this yeshiva is unlike any of the other yeshivas where they learn Torah. All the pupils that were learning in these yeshivas, they're called the soldiers of the house of David. And their whole purpose is only to bring Mashiach. Open the narrows layer, lights to shine. In addition to that in every house, every Jewish house, it has to be a house of Torah and prayer and good deeds and charity. Like we said many times, there also has to be every house something like Yeshiva Tomchei Tamimim. You have to learn Chassidut, in addition to learning Torah in general. And also to advertise in every place that we have to make that we have to provide the necessities of the holiday for everyone who needs them 30 days before the holiday. Kadesh yochlu litkonen, so you can prepare Zman Simchatenu in menucha and joy and a good heart. And even before this, the providing the necessities of Rosh Hashanah, like it says, Ochlu Mishmenim Veshasu Mamtikim Veshalchu Manot La'en and give gifts to people that don't deserve it, right? You even give them the gifts of sentence in Nehemiah, Ezra and Nehemiah. Well, yeah. Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Sha'al Yadei Adibur, just by talking about these things, that will be mentioned immediately, that we will merit immediately, that God will give every single Jew everything that he needs from his open, full, holy, wide hand. Yado HaMaleya, HaPtucha, HaKadosha, VaRachava. The Rebbe sometimes added on a Gedusha, that it's overflowing. The Allah HaKam, how much more so, Be'inyan HaChi'ika, the main thing is, Gula Mitit V'Shlima. The main thing we should be concerned with is the future total, complete redemption by means of the Mashiach, or the language of the Torah and Parshat that we read in Mincha Ki Tavo Oretz, that all the Jewish people will be in the land of Israel. We will inherit it and we will live in it, but take it from Yad immediately. They will take the first fruits and they'll go to the place that God chose, the third temple. And it'll be like it says in the end, Hashkifa me'on kachecha, that you go to the third temple and you make a declaration of God. Here, God, I have brought my first fruits to you. Hashkifa, look down from your holy place from the heavens and bless your people, Israel. What is the blessing? The main blessing is Geula Mitit Shlema, the total, complete, true redemption by means of the Mashiach. That God will take all of the negative things out of our personalities and that we'll be able to be positive and serve God in a positive, happy way. Take it from Yad immediately. And the book that I was thinking about that everybody should read, from the 20th chapter, it talks about what happens on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, is called Kuntras Umayan. Mayan Yotzem Beit Hashem. Okay, that ends the lesson. Now all we have to do, oh, I'm sorry, you were there, I didn't see you. That ends the lesson for Dvar Malchut. Now, Yom Yom. I'm sorry, I didn't, Miriam Girbor, I did not see that you were there. It was, your name was behind the sign over here. Okay, here we go. Stop the share.